Greetings, everybody, on this most auspicious day of Kathina. Respects to Ayya Brahmavara and respects to Ayya, and greetings to all other venerables, seminaries, anagarika, and all good lay friends here today for this great occasion. And I'd like to say a few words on Dhamma, and particularly to speak a bit about the Kathina ceremony, its meaning and history, and a little bit about the sort of schedule of the day. And first, I'd like to begin by paying respects to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. So the Kathina ceremony is a kind of celebration of the practice and commitment and determination of the monastic Sangha over the past 3 months of the Vassa to have spent time in one place practicing. Oftentimes during the Vassa period, there's a focus on practice, meditation, retreat time, and also study of the Vinaya, the rules that the bhikkhunis follow. And it's a lot of rules. And so we really need to investigate and study the history of our Vinaya rules, how they came about, how we can apply them skillfully to our present day situation. These rules that have come down to us from the time of the Buddha, nearly 26 centuries ago. So we can still relate to the rules very well and use them for our guidance, protection and support. But it's really a study, lifelong study, to really understand and consider each and every one of the 311 Vinaya rules that we follow. And also the Vassa is a time for deepening practice, because it's helpful oftentimes to stay in one place and to make this determination that each year to have 3 months where we're essentially not moving around, not traveling unless there's a particular need, such as an ordination that needs supporting, or sometimes there can be sickness in the family, close family, and we can, in such cases, go to offer support to ailing relatives. There are a few reasons why one can go away during the Vassa, but generally we stay put. We have a limit to our going away, for instance, to teach Dhamma or to ordain another bhikkhuni, a new bhikkhuni, as we did during this Vassa that's just ended. A few of us went to Virginia to support the ordination of Ramadina bhikkhuni. But when we do go away, then we have the rule to only be away for no more than 6 dawns. So we need to not overextend our time away and go away really for the least time possible during the Vasa. So this determination to be in one place is a great opportunity for us to settle and to have a chance to deepen our meditation practice, to spend more time in community often, to work on samagi, work on harmonizing, on, learning how to skillfully be together in community. This is a great benefit and boon for us as well in our practice, to learn how to harmonize with others and to work with developing our understanding of community dynamics, of human beings, of the human heart. And so there are many ways in which the Vasa is a great benefit for us, this time of stillness, this time of stability. And so the Kathina comes at the end of the Vasa season, the 3 months of Vasa. And there's a sense for many of us that, this period of Vasa is over, so now it's time to feel more free to move around. I myself have come to England to be with family. Actually, I would have been present for the Kathina ceremony if at all possible, because it's very good for us to celebrate, to participate in the Kathina ceremonies together, all those of us who've lived together in community over the Vasa period. It just so happens that for issues of legal issues, I have to leave the United States so as not to overextend my stay on a non-visa waiver, on an ESTA, which only allows for 90 days in the country. So I had to shorten my visit to comply with the regulations. And of course, the Vasa, being 3 months, is about 90 days long. And so I couldn't stay beyond the Vasa time. But otherwise, whenever possible, we would normally be all present to participate in the Kathina ceremonies and take part in the practices of the day, which I'll speak a little bit about soon. So the Kathina is like the culmination or a celebration of the Vasa time. And it's the time of robe offering. So we've, now that the Vasa's over, we've entered the robe offering season. And the robe season continues for some months now, into the winter. It's a time when the bhikkhunis are allowed to receive cloth in order to kind of take care of our clothing requisites. So the robes that we wear, we need to keep them in shape. We need to repair them if they get torn very quickly. Actually, within a few days, we need to repair any tears in our robes. But if our robes are getting worn, if they're needing to be replenished, then this is the time for us to receive cloth when it's offered. And of course, the lay community are also very aware that this is the robe offering season, particularly those of you from traditional Buddhist countries. This is the time when we can receive cloth in order to make robes. And on Kathina Day today, we have the opportunity to choose one amongst us who has been practicing with us during the Vasa period, who can receive the robe offering on behalf of all of the Sangha. So today, people are very kindly offering many things, including robes. Most importantly, perhaps, robes are being offered, cloth is being offered, rather, in order to make robes. And we can choose one of our number to receive on behalf of the Sangha a robe, and this robe must be made up from cloth by the community who are present on this day to sew and craft one of the 4 robes of a bhikkhuni. And we would normally choose to have either some kind of jacket made, or which would be a vest, or we would choose to make outer robes, a sangati or Uttara Vasika for one of us. And the robes are not very quick and easy to make. They're actually quite complicated because of the traditional paddy field design, which requires a lot of sewing in straight lines, creating seams in a very particular pattern. It's quite a specialized piece of sewing. And the great thing about this occasion is that we have just until dawn of the next day, dawn of Sunday in this case, is the time that we have to complete the robe. There's a time limit, there's a kind of time pressure, and there's also an encouragement for us to all participate to some extent in the making of the robe. Oftentimes, there'll be one particularly skilled sewer in the Sangha who may take it upon themselves to offer to make the robe very quickly on the Kathina day. But it's very nice and often the case in community that people like to contribute to this auspicious robe making event, and it's really lovely when everybody actually takes part and does some part of the sewing. There are so many stages involved, from the receiving of the cloth. There's often a necessity to wash the cloth, to shrink it. So it needs to be washed, it needs to be dried quickly, it needs to be ironed, it may need to be dyed. And having prepared the cloth in these different ways, then there needs to be a kind of somebody who's already prepared to measure out the size that's needed, having checked in with the person who the cloth is being given to on this day, for whom the robe is being made, to get their measurements, to measure out, calculate the various sizes of the fields in the design of the robe. And having then got the measurements, the robe needs to be marked with the pattern, the design, carefully, double checking, usually triple checking along the way to make sure that there's no mistakes made. And once the pattern has been determined, the cloth has been marked, it can then be sewn in stages gradually. And there's a certain order to the sewing of the paddy fields in the main robe design, the outer robes, and the Antravasika, the Uttaravasika, and the Sangati all have the paddy field design. And so for each of these robes, there's a particular order in which one has to sew the lines. So it's quite a complex process, and it requires concentration, focus, which is wonderful because these are qualities that we want to develop. So we really need to tune in to the robe making, and those who are involved in the process need to be able to just quietly get along with their work. And meantime, all around them, the Kathina day is unfolding. So I know that at Dhamma today, on this special day, there is a kind of schedule, and that actually the robes will have been offered already. So there's going to be an offering of the robes at dawn or soon after dawn. I'm just having a look here to see. Breakfast dana will have happened at 6, and then refuges and precepts at 6:30. This is very wonderful, especially for those who are on the 8 precepts long term. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu to you. And then the offering of the robe will have happened pretty early on, before breakfast. This is wonderful because, of course, it gives time for those who are sewing the robe to be able to really focus on the task and have a spacious day, so that there's no significant time pressure for this great project, this great undertaking. Now, once the robes have been made, there is a ceremony just for the bhikkhunis to be able to come together and acknowledge what has been done, what has been offered, and to then make the offering of the robe to usually one of the senior nuns, not always, but certainly the nun who is chosen to receive the Kathina cloth, the Kathina robe on this auspicious day, is a nun who is known to be an exemplary nun, a nun of very high caliber, who is very highly regarded by the other Sangha members, and who is learned, who is knowledgeable in the Dharma, who is following the practices, keeping the Vinaya, living an exemplary life, an impeccable nun, who is also able to convey the teachings to others. And so in these ways, is someone who supports the Sangha, who supports the Buddha Sasana. And so this is an acknowledgement of practice well done, of a life well lived, of a member of the community who we respect, who we look up to, who we learn from, and who is a great benefit to us all. And it's an acknowledgement that is rarely kind of made, and certainly this really is the one day of the year when there's a kind of public affirmation for one of the community, that they are esteemed, they are revered by all those around them, and that their life has benefited many others. And it's very lovely that we can together celebrate one of us, and in doing so, we can really reflect that this is a celebration of the Buddha, this is a celebration of the Dhamma, this is a celebration of the Sangha, because these refuges and the Vinaya, the Dhamma Vinaya, the life of a bhikkhuni is something that we all can appreciate, and that it is not personal. This is not about individuals, it's certainly not about personalities. The person who is chosen to receive the Kathina cloth is not necessarily a well-known bhikkhuni or a great teaching bhikkhuni, not at all. The qualities that we really venerate in the Sangha, of course, are qualities such as patience, endurance, kindness, humility, the ability to take care of others, the willingness to be an example and to help others along in the holy life. So these more humble qualities are really of great significance to us when we live together in community. And the person who receives the Kathina cloth can also be a person of high standing, a person who is well known, well regarded, and who is a well known Dharma teacher. This is also completely acceptable, but does not always have to be the case. So, just to say a little bit more about the schedule for today, I can see that the meal is a little bit early. Meal preparation is happening from 10, and then there's more opportunity to take the refuges and precepts, the 5 precepts, for all our lay friends who are present around 10:30, and then we have the offering of the meal at 11. What a wonderful morning of affirming precepts, coming together and preparing to take food together. And then after the meal and a little bit of quiet time, perhaps a time actually for people to catch up with one another, to enjoy being around the monastery on no doubt a very lovely, I hope a very lovely day, sunny day, because it's almost always sunny in California and warm at this time of day. May it be so for you all. And then having had a little bit of easy time, open time, free time to connect with others, to have a walk around the monastery, to do whatever you need to do, and also for those who are participating in the robe making, to be quietly getting along with the sewing. Then at 1:30, there will be the beginning of the ceremonies with welcomes from the Dhammadharani leadership and from the Kathina sponsors, and then some contemplations, some short reflections from many of the members of the community about the theme that we've had this Vasa. So this Vasa, we have focused our attention on the theme that was chosen by Ayya. And this theme is Stop the War. Many of you will be aware of this because you'll have been following Ayya teachings over the course of the Vasa. And so in Dhamma talks, in meditation, guided meditation, and also in sutta studies, we have been really focusing our attention on this theme, stop the war, or we could say making peace, how to be peaceful, how to avoid conflict, how to bring harmony and peace into the world. And this has been an incredibly rich theme. So people will be inspired, no doubt, from all the studies that we've been doing during the course of the last 3 months, Vasa, to share some reflections on what has been learned, what has been investigated, what have we been able to understand and contemplate and reflect upon this theme of the causes of conflict and the ways to avoid, to resolve, to move through any kind of conflict so that we can avoid any kind of escalation and coming back again and again through these teachings, through the investigations that we've done, and also through our lives together in community, coming back again and again to the place of harmony, place of peace, to make peace with one another again and again. Just because we're wearing robes and we've taken all these precepts and we're following all the Vinaya rules doesn't mean that we don't occasionally rub up against one another and have, experiences of disagreement, of some kind of friction happening between members of the community. This is very normal. This is to be expected when we live together so closely, work together closely, and we're not necessarily very compatible. We're not necessarily people who would have chosen to live together if we were living in lay life and following our desires. No, we come together because we have a shared aspiration for liberation. And this can sometimes mean that people who are very dissonant in some ways are put together and live together very closely. And it's just inevitable that there will be friction, there will be disagreements from time to time. We will feel uncomfortable around one another from time to time. And so it's just so valuable for us to be able to appreciate, take in, absorb the teachings of the Buddha, which are many, on these issues. Until we're arahants, we're going to come across probably from time to time some kind of sense of unease around others. And the Buddha has given us so many ways in which we can kind of chart our course through choppy waters and come back to the still, calm, unruffled way of being together. And this requires forgiveness again and again, letting go of grudges or any kind of negative mindsets around one another, starting afresh again and again. And so I'm looking forward to these reflections from others, and also giving a short reflection myself on this theme of the Vassa, Stop the War. How wonderful that we can conclude the Vassa with this kind of summary of what's been learned and understood on this topic. And then we have, aiming at 3:30, Kathina Road Parade, and my very good wishes for all those who are participating in the sewing of the robe today, that it can be done, that it can be well done and ready at this kind of point in the afternoon, whatever time it may be, for the parade, the road parade, which I look forward to watching later on from the UK. And then after the road parade, of course, there will be a chance for everyone to come together out in the Dharmasala and around the Dharmasala, and offerings can then be made to the Sangha sometime around 4, also in the afternoon or tea time. People will have this opportunity to make offerings. This is a very auspicious day for offerings to be made. And when giving, so helpful to give with full attention on the act of giving, and watching the mind, looking at the mind and composing the mind as we give, and reflecting inwardly on the merit that is being made, and on the sharing of merit with anyone and everyone who we wish to share the blessings of our happiness, of our goodness, of our generosity with. So this is a very precious time to really focus on the act of giving and the karmic reward of giving, which is not to say that we give with any strings attached, but rather to give knowing, understanding the benefits of generosity, and to celebrate that. And then we have, there will be blessing chanting, Anumodana blessings, and following on, there will be more sewing, quite possibly, Dhamma talks and community time while waiting for the robe to be finally completed. So how wonderful. And it may well be that the actual robe sewing will continue through after dark into the evening and perhaps even into the night. But whatever, there's a opportunity for everyone to help and to use the energy, the inspiration and uplift of the day to kind of motivate and energize the operation of finishing the robe in time before dawn. And I'm sure actually that the robe will be completed long before dawn on Sunday, with all the good sewers that we have present today. So yeah, the Kathina ceremony is something that's been happening since the time of the Buddha. Quite remarkable that it has continued through so many centuries, and it's a very lovely way for the fourfold Sangha, men and women in robes, and also lay men and women, to be able to come together, to be able to enjoy a sense of something ending, the end of the Vasa, something beginning of the robe season. In this way, the constant reminder that things are changing all the time. We're constantly moving. There's no rest, there's no stillness, there's no stagnation, there's no stopping this relentless wheel of samsara rolling on. And in the midst of change, and in the midst of this human predicament that we find ourselves in, of beings who are born to age, get sick and die, we can come together and reflect on the Buddha's teachings. Most importantly for all of us, we're here today because of the Buddha. We're all followers of the Buddha, and we have a chance to come together thanks to the Buddha in our different ways, and to mutually benefit one another in the Buddha Dhamma. How wonderful is that? For the monastics, it's, as I've said, a time of kind of celebrating the Vasa that we've spent together, and moving kind of marks a turning point, moving to the next phase of the year. And perhaps for many of the monastics who are present today, particularly our visiting monastics from Aloka Vihara, there's a sense of change, of letting go of previous habitations, previous dwelling places, moving forward. And often after the Vasa, there's a moving forward through traveling, relocating, and going to different places, even for a short time, is something that's required for the bhikkhunis at the end of the Vasa. And perhaps a sense of stepping into the unknown. So from a fairly, for us, 3 months is quite a long time, fairly settled way of being, to something more uncertain. And this is another thing that we can usefully reflect upon at this time, how unpredictable and uncertain actually all of our lives are, not just the samanas who have no home, who have no possessions apart from taking care of our robes and taking care of our bowls. We are free, like the birds in the sky, to go from place to place, and to appreciate how uncertain, how unstable this world is. And so reflecting on change and reflecting on uncertainty, reflecting on the unpredictability of our lives is something we can do very usefully at a time like this, when we all come together to mark an occasion, noticing that we're marking beginnings and endings. And isn't life composed quite simply of a series of beginnings and endings, beginnings and endings? One can say that actually every moment there's a beginning and an ending. And it's very helpful to consider this, to notice the truth of anicca in each and every experience, because it helps us to come to the core teaching of the Lord Buddha, his most significant way of enabling us to wake up to the truth of to the Dhamma, which is to see that when there is such impermanence as a reality, when there is constant change and uncertainty as a reality in this realm of samsara, this world of birth and death, then it's really not possible for us to hold on to anything and consider it to be in our power, belonging to us, me or mine or myself. It really is very difficult for us to hold on to this delusion when we consider the constant change that is apparent all around us. So, this understanding of the reality of anatta, of not self, is also something that we can usefully reflect upon today, and in fact every day, to help us to not hold on to or identify with that which is dying, that which is already broken, that which is decaying, that which is no refuge for us. Samsara, in short. It helps us when we consider anicca, constant change, and uncertainty, anatta, the impossibility of identifying with any of the constantly changing, flowing reality around us. And then we can, start to appreciate the value and notice the inevitability of letting go, letting go, letting go of our grip on anything that we have been liable to identify with, letting go of our sense of self, letting go of our sense of control, letting go of our sense of ownership, and lightening, therefore, our load, lightening the burden, freeing ourselves up, lightening the heart, and enabling us to more and more fully come to live in the reality of now. Simply this. How could it be any other way? This is how it is. And just to wake up to the way of it, to the way things are, and to make peace with that. Our whole theme, as I've said, this Vassa, has been the theme of making peace, stopping the war. And this really is ultimately the way for us to fully make peace, is to live in the reality of the way things are, to wake up to anicca, impermanence, to anatta, not self, and to let go in this way of all the causes of suffering in this world, to be people of peace, to be those who are able to offer peace and harmony into this world, and thereby benefit all those around us, all our families, all our friends, all our acquaintances, and indeed to be able to benefit all beings. Sadhu. So these are just some words on Dhamma for this special day. And I've said a little bit about Kathina. There's so much more that can be said, and so much better said. And I hope that you'll all enjoy considering what this day is for, what the meaning is of this day, and to also enjoy each other's company, to support one another, in practice, in living a life kind of immersed in, imbued with the Buddha's teachings, and how we can find our way to integrate the wonderful, blessed teachings of the Lord Buddha, the Buddha Dhamma, in our lives. All of us doing our best to find our way to peace and happiness. May we support and help one another every step of the way and celebrate the beauty and the benefits of Sangha today. On this most auspicious day, I'd like to offer my respects again to Ayya Loka and also to Ayya Sobana and to our visiting Terries, Ayya Ananda Bodhi and Ayya Santachitta, with great gratitude and appreciation for all of you and for everyone who's gathered here today to celebrate the Kathina.